States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Colleen, would you take roll call, please?
Haefman,
I'm here.
Huseby, Johnson,
Here.
Kirsch, Kissinger-Wolf,
Here.
Long,
Here.
Rudai, Baloo,
Here.
Zimmerman.
We have 5 here. We just made the quorum, so we can hold the meeting. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Long, so moved.
Baloo, second.
Motion's been made by Long, seconded by Baloo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on to item 6, public comment. Time for the public comment. If there's somebody interested in making a public comment. I'll make a public comment. I really liked the play. The play was great this weekend. A lot of nice work into the play. It looked like it was well attended too. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for all your hard work on everything, and good job.
He goes to Mr. Colbert.
Well, pass that on to him for me. I saw him here yesterday, on Sunday. Yeah. Okay. Item 7, looking for the consent agenda items. We have items A through E for approval. I do have a couple comments to make on the minutes from the regular meeting from February 22nd. I think you're missing Jeffrey for attendance.
February 22nd?
Yeah,
Okay.
because there were 6 votes and there were only 5 people listed.
Okay.
Not that he was here or anything. But. And then under item E, the attachment says like C1 for retirement. It should really say E1. I talked to Colleen earlier. I said, and she didn't need to make the motion, but she'll just correct those minor technicalities. Any motion to accept these? Or
I so
comments?
move. Baloo.
Haefman, second.
Any comments, concerns, questions on any of the items? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on to staff reports, item 8. I'm just whizzing through here. I'm not going to beat the record though.
So this is always the time of year in high school where things are really starting to get busy, which is a great time of year. And you know, in terms of the strategic plan, you can see there's definitely a lot of things that fall underneath the whole student and supporting those types of things that are going on in students' lives. So you know, as you look through, lots of celebrations to be had on students participating in activities and athletics, state qualifiers, as you can see, are noted. And just really want to congratulate all those different, you know, participants and their different coaches and supporters and things of that nature, because it's just a great thing to see that for those students, their teams, those groups that they're associated with, and all the hard work that goes into those items. So, you know, as you start to view things like every school year coming into this spring, you'll see a lot more of athletic and different kinds of clubs, group types of competitions occurring. So definitely keep you updated on those items as we go throughout the spring. It's just a really great time of the year for students and all those different kinds of activities. I also want to take the opportunity to congratulate Coach John Zulsdorf on his retirement, and just wanted to thank the leader for their article on his long career in coaching and all the different people that contributed to that article with their kind words to say. So I think everybody definitely knows the type of impact that John has had within our school through different activities and sports. So really want to thank him for his contributions. Also wanted to compliment the musical staff, crew, and directors, cast on their performance. I don't know if any of you had the chance to make it this weekend to take a look at it, but it was just a great evening to see how much energy the kids put into it, and you know, seeing them practice here for the past several months to be able to put a production together. And I know they were concerned about the weather over the weekend, but things worked out well, so they were able to perform those different events. So congratulations to them on that piece. Just looking at, please take the time to review the board report again on all those different items going on with the different groups and their contributions. And I know Stacy just wanted to give an update because today was our ACT test day in the high school, so that's a big day for us.
Big day. It went very well. We only had juniors in the building again, and things went very smoothly. We only have 4 makeups to do in 2 weeks on the makeup day. Some kids were sick today, so but otherwise it went very well, and kids were out ahead of schedule and good testing environment. So on to the next now.
So the other 3 grades weren't in the building at
No,
all?
they were virtual today, and we did that last year as well. And actually, having that remote learning that got put in place last year really helped for this year. I mean, that was one good thing that came out of COVID, to have that, so that our juniors could be in the building and just have a quiet testing environment. And our middle school kids were very respectful, going up and down the halls that had to come down to the high school, so it ended up being very good. So now we'll get ready for the next bunch of tests.
How long does the test take? Is it all day?
Yeah, they start at about 8:15 by the time they get settled. And the writing, we have a break for a snack, we have a break for lunch, and then they go back after lunch to finish up the writing portion, so they get done about between 1:30 and 20 to 2. So,
Wow.
yeah. But it's nice because, back, 7, 8 years ago, kids that took the ACT had to travel to, various places. Now that you can offer it in your high school, that's a positive thing, so. But yeah, so it's over, thank God. But that's it.
Thank you.
Any questions, Dan?
No, thanks.
Okay, for the elementary, I included some information about different things happening in some of the parts of our building. We have a music program coming up for 2nd and 4th grade this coming week. Mrs. Pysick remains busy trying to get some important instruction to the students with the 2nd step curriculum. We had our parent-teacher conferences in the month of February. I explained that our percentage was pretty good for the spring. It drops a little bit, but it's nice to see the seesaw in the amount of times parents and guardians visit. I think it was about 46,000 times that they're going on and visiting different things with their students. So seeing that parent contact and hearing that some parents passed on parent-teacher conferences because of the constant communication through Seesaw, I think that's been a great tool for us. So, any questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just have a couple things I highlighted in mine. I did want to make mention, you probably either saw on the news or on social media, we did have the opportunity to host Nick Baumgartner here, Olympic gold medalist. This auditorium pretty packed, and I can sat through a lot of speakers and different people that we brought in to engage kids. I don't think I've ever seen them get as excited and be hung up on somebody like they did with him. So it was cool. So we had 8th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and 11th grade in here. So he got to talk to a good portion of our upper level students and secondary students, and talk about his experience and kind of what he's been through and how many times he's failed in his life in order to reach the success that he's had. So it was a really great message, really exciting, for the kids to see that. We typically do bring in a speaker of some kind. The last few years because of COVID, we've been unable to. But we do have a magician coming later this month as well that has a similar message about resilience, making good choices, and that sort of thing. We really highlight that during our National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week, which is the last week we have before spring break, so 21st through the 25th. So we're looking forward to that as well. I do want to thank, now that our winter sports have completely wrapped up, girls basketball and wrestling recently wrapped up, and forensics as well, so I just want to congratulate all the kids, their effort they put in, and also the coaches, and thank them for the amount of work they had. I do want to go back to Nick Baumgartner, and I want to give out one thank you to Melissa Neiman our middle school secretary, whose husband works at Ponzi, who happens to be a big sponsor of his. She was the one that put us in contact and was able to coordinate that. So I just want to thank her for making that effort and bringing, being integral and bringing him here. And then just recently, back in February, I think on the 17th, we had 8th grade and the high school chamber choir had their Pops concert in here. I just want to give a shout out to Corey. That was a pretty fun night. Pretty cool to see the kids, choir kids, engage in a different type of music. So I just want to give props there too as well. So any questions on anything?
No, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Wendell.
So I just gave a brief summary of the best screener that we use, that we've been using in our second year. So I just gave you guys a summary of what we look at, where our kids are at, and I gave a grade level breakdown so you can see where our high points and low points are. The good news about that is more than 86% of our kids are considered healthy and not having any issues. And then if you look at the color breakdowns, the blue is kids that we're starting to see some areas that we want to look at and start getting early interventions in. And then the yellow, things are coming to the surface, and then the reds are our most intensive kids that we focus most of our effort on. But the good news is, again, 86% of our kids are doing well, and it just gives us data then so that we can look at those groups that from all the blue, yellow, and red, and work with our tier 2 teams to look at how we can support those kids that are identified through that. Any questions on it at all?
How long does the screening take when you do? I mean, that's a lot of kids to put through screening.
The teachers do it, the kids don't take it. It takes, so the classroom teachers are all assigned, like homeroom teachers are assigned at elementary. It takes approximately 3 minutes or less for kids. It's
Okay.
Based on their age, gender, I don't know what all goes into the formula, but somebody smarter than me made the test. And it's used all over the state and the country. And then again, it looks at that composite score, and then it looks like internalizing behaviors and externalizing behaviors. So kids that might withdraw, or else kids that are having outward behaviors that you would notice real quickly. So our first year we did it, we had 2 raters on each kid. So it took a lot more organizing. So we'd have our specialists and then the classroom teachers, and so it took a little more time. Some teachers would have up to 30, 40 students to rate. After we do it twice a year, so after that first year's screening in our fall, we realized our kids are pretty healthy. We're doing pretty well with our kids. So we reduced it to 1 rater, and then if we need to do an additional progress monitor on some of those kids that are identified in that blue, yellow, or red area, then we can do a second screener on them. But then that took down some of the workload on the teachers so that they weren't having to do as many kids, but every kid still gets screened.
So the ones that fall in the yellow and red, do you set up plans with them, or?
Yep, each school has, through our PBIS teams, our Hatchet Pride.
Okay.
The tier 2 teams look at those kids, the tier 1 and the tier 2 teams, but those would have the more intensive interventions, and they start looking at those kids. And as they get in the older grades, middle school and high school, they look at it, their grade level teams and see how they're supporting those students as well.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like there were a couple of grades in there, 4th and 5th, and
Couple bubbles.
yeah, hiccups there. Mm-hmm.
It just lets us know where we focus more supports and get those teachers and students the support that they need to help get those numbers down.
Questions of Wendy? Thank you. Two.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple things to touch on as far as teaching and learning goes. As Ryan and Stacy mentioned, ACT Day was today. Just a huge shout out to Stacy and her team at the high school. They did a great job of organizing and making things go as smoothly as possible for staff and students. In terms of assessments, we are in assessment season, so we've been working with staff at the middle school and the elementary, prepping them for the forward exams that will start after spring break. And just ensuring that teachers feel comfortable in administering the assessment and helping kids understand the process because they go about it taking it online, particularly our 3rd graders, because this is the first go around that they have in the forward exam. And there's an additional piece on the forward exam that was omitted because of COVID. It's called the text-dependent analysis, or it's called the TDA, where students write an essay online to get a real handle on their writing skills. So that's a new piece that's back in play again. So we've been doing some work with that. And then high school will do the ACT Aspire at the end of April. And then we will finish up the year with assessments with our district assessments. So it is a busy time in terms of assessments, but all of that data will be so valuable when we do our data analysis and data retreats this summer to get a better handle on where any skill gaps are and celebrate the strengths of our students. And then as far as curriculum work goes, all the buildings have been busy on various things, whether it's getting a better handle on the shifts with our ELA and math standards across the state, vetting some new resources we've been doing, looking at learning management systems. So it's a busy time always in this time from now until May, just making sure that we have things as best as we can figured out for the coming school year. Questions for me?
Are all the assessments online now, or there's still some paper and pencil?
The ACT was paper pencil.
Okay.
We have the option of moving forward and having some conversations if we want to move that to online. Last year was the first year that ACT was online, and there were some kinks in the system.
Okay.
So we were hesitant to jump onto that. So now that they've had another run at it, I'm going to talk to some other districts and see how that went. But the other assessments as far as the forward, yes.
Good, because I know for a while there was paper and pencil, and it'd be months before you got the results, and what good would that do? It was so much later. Okay. You guys awake? Okay. Questions of Julie?
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim?
Yep. Okay, I had the opportunity last week to participate in the insurance co-op meeting that took place. And as you're aware, Tomahawk is in with several other districts in terms of insurance that is provided to staff. And we should be getting the rates soon, probably, hopefully within the next, couple weeks, or certainly by the 1st of April, hopefully. And it has been, according to the people that, we met with, a very kind of expensive year. The cost of services is up, as well as the utilization. Much of that they figure is, well, the cost of service is going up, but because of the COVID thing over the last couple of years, a lot of people put off, any medical conditions that they might have had, so that may be part of the reason for the utilization being up. But the cap on this is 10%. That's the most it can go up in a given year. The way it sounds right now, the schools will be at that level or maybe just slightly below. So obviously that's something that has to be taken into consideration in regard to the next budget year. Everyone felt that the co-op is still the best place to be at this time in terms of providing insurance coverage. Some of the districts that, not the district in a co-op, of course, but other districts in the area are getting as much as a 20% increase in their premiums. So no one wants to go there. So as far as the district, maintaining its participation in a co-op, like I said, that's the best place to be, it appears, at this time. Part of the reason they feel that for some of these increases is because there's getting to be less providers. There's more consolidation and that sort of thing. So, there is some concern too about going out to bid again, and then of course with less providers, perhaps maybe it not being as competitive as it has been in the past. So, anyway, the cap is 10% on that, and hopefully it'll come in a little less, but there certainly is no guarantee. So we'll know in a couple weeks or so. Also last week, we participated in a safety analysis or program that the district has been involved in for, I guess, over the last 3 or 4 years. And it happens every 3 years, it's my understanding. Anyway, we had a couple representatives from the Wisconsin School of Safety coordinators come in, and Administratively, there was a session in the morning when they first got here, kind of an orientation type thing. This is what they're gonna look at. And then in the afternoon, there was kind of a wrap-up meeting with that group. And I think it's a good thing. It's, you know, somebody independent that's not here all the time comes in and looks at your facilities and what you have going in terms of safety and that sort of thing. And they look at everything from signage to playground supervision, supervision throughout the entire building and that sort of thing. So they said probably within a couple of weeks or so, they'll be submitting a written report, and obviously the board will be getting a copy of that. They had a lot of positive things to say about, you know, the safety conditions in the school. But they're going to have some suggestions in the report in regard to, you know, some things that maybe could be improved, such as, you know, smaller things such as they suggested, you know, that there'd be radios out on the playground and that sort of thing. And also they are probably going to suggest that the school have a safety committee that just maybe annually, you know, just looks at the safety throughout the facility and maybe comes up with some recommendations, or at least, you know, discusses various safety factors in the district. So again, we'll know specifically when the report comes out, but it was I thought it was a good day overall, and a good discussion about the whole process in the district. So March 28th through April 1st, that's spring break, and obviously it's a good opportunity for staff to have some, and students, to have some time off to kind of refresh and regroup and be ready to come back and complete the school year. Also, I know I mentioned this before, but a couple meetings ago, but we're still hanging on to one inclement weather day. We've got one left, and hopefully we won't have to use it. But in case we did, there were 3 built into the calendar, so we're still okay that way as well. And I guess if you're going to have an ice storm, have it on a weekend. That's the best. That's the best way to do that. We kind of lucked out this last time.
Yeah,
So.
compared to some years,
Yeah.
definitely.
So.
Any questions for Joe? Okay. Moving on to item 9, the finance report, which is attached.
Okay. So looking at the finance report, let me just find it here. So currently the district, as far as district funds, in the Tomahawk Community Bank, there's a balance of $143,171.34. Savings account, Tomahawk Community Bank, $189,857.44. The local government pool investment, which again is where the district gets the most, the best interest rate in terms of the investment. There's $14,131,995.40. Sandy indicates that this time of the year is when the most dollars are in the district funds, because the district has just received the tax payment, the initial tax payment that was made in December. So that the balance is the highest at this particular time. So currently, that's what's in those particular accounts. In reviewing the budget in general, again, I think we've pretty much said this throughout the year, is that the budget is pretty much on target. Don't really anticipate being over budget at all. If anything, hopefully would be a little bit under, which districts try and do each and every year. So for this particular year, I guess, again, budget seems to be following through as planned, and expect it to be that way at the end of the year. So.
Any questions on the February revenues or expenses? Such a quiet group. Okay. Okay, moving on to item 10, the approval of the ESSER 3 plan. The presentation, or?
Yeah, Wendy will cover that.
So at the last board meeting, we gave you a presentation on the draft form, what we're proposing. As part of that plan, we have to have community and stakeholder input. We held a community listening session on the 21st of February. We did have a couple people show up. We also sent a survey out to staff and also made it accessible to the community through the website. We had 26 respondents answer the survey. And then on the paper we have of those 26 respondents, they identified their highest priority as academic staffing, mental health services, building upgrades, before and after school programming, and then improvements to current technology. And all those areas were addressed in our plan except for the mental health services, but there are some other grants out there that are coming and then available to the district where we can address that issue. So the plan that we presented at the previous meeting does align with what the stakeholders and the administrative team aligned with that strategic plan. So remember that these funds are available from 2022 to 2024. So July 1st, and then they expire after 2 years. So the funding for the things on this would then go away. So as part of that plan, 73% of it is going towards those areas addressed for the additional academic staffing, and then building and grounds areas, and then with 20% is required for the evidence-based strategies, and then that is for staffing and then support through CISA to develop our instructional methods and capacity of teachers. And then the other 7% is directed towards summer learning and enrichment, before and after school programming in those areas. Split into 2 years, so it's just over 1.2 million, and then it's split into 2 years. If you have a cost, you don't have to split it into 2 years, but how we have it broken down, that's how we have it laid out. So any questions on that? Anything I missed?
No, I think you had it.
I think it's smart the way you've done it, to break it into 2 years and then and it's neat that it's aligned with what the stakeholders and the administration said. I like what you've done.
I mean, we didn't have like the whole community respond, but it was out there, and of those that responded, it did align and match. So, like I said, without the mental health, but the state just had a Getting Kids Ahead grant that we have funds coming for that, so we can address those areas through that. So there's other avenues to address those areas, so we're meeting all those identified areas.
Lots of grant writing. Lots of grant writing?
So that one was an easy one.
That was
I
easy.
only had to click a button.
Oh,
That's it.
good.
So I'm not gonna take a whole lot of credit for it.
Okay.
But
I'm glad to hear
we'll figure
that.
out as an admin team how and the school counselors, and see how we want to best meet the kids' needs based on the data that we're getting.
So this is a plan that requires board approval before we can submit it.
Okay.
So once you approve it, then we have to submit it by the 11th. So if you approve it tonight, then Sandy and I plan to get her submitted tomorrow.
Okay. Then we'll look for a motion to approve the ESSER 3 plan as presented tonight. And the second?
Baloo, second?
Motion's been made by Long, seconded by Baloo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Go push your buttons.
We'll click some buttons tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, we've got item 11. We have several policies on the attachment here, A through H. I don't have to read through these, do I? A lot of them were, there were some minor corrections. I did like that was a nice summary that was presented with this.
I
about
like that too, yeah.
That was great to have that, to look at that. Hopefully we'll have that. I met today when the Neola representative came. I just came in to see once about that whole process, and it was quite informative. So, any questions about the revisions on the policies here? Comments, questions? All pretty pretty simple.
Yes,
A lot
I
of
thought it
some
was.
technical and just updates and that type of
Mhm.
thing. No questions, no comments? Okay, then we'll look for a motion to approve items 11A through H.
I so move Haefman.
Johnson, I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made by Haefman, seconded by Johnson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Board referrals, any board referrals? I guess I'd like to thank the groups that have been going out, the people who've been going out working with informing the public about the referendums. I've been able to attend a couple in the last week or so that I've been home and hitting some people,
Mhm.
just getting the word out, just to help with the education of that. Appreciate all your work on that. Okay. Moving on to item 13, going into closed session. Part A, to discuss individual employees that may be affected by staff reductions pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 1985, parentheses 1, parentheses C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, performance, evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Item B, do I need to read this whole thing? To discuss expulsion, alliance stipulations pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 1985.85, parentheses 1, parentheses F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific personnel problems or in the investigation of charges against specific persons except where paragraph P, B applies, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations. Oh my.
Mhm.
Okay, looking for a motion to go into closed session.
I so move, Baloo.
Long second.
Motion's been made by Baloo, seconded by Long. A roll call vote, please.
Baloo,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Haefman,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kissinger Wolf.
Yes. Okay,